it's a fun life. It's a roller coaster. It's, in many ways that I'm deep into filmmaking. I look at my friends who continued on in graffiti, and I'm a little jealous. I'm like, oh man, look at them. Like, I wish I was still doing all that.
Hi, JD.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine. What about you?
Fantastic.
Yes, thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure to talk to you. And first, I want to congratulate you on your director debut. But I want to start from the beginning. What was like the inspiration for the script?
The inspiration for the script, I've been doing graffiti since I was 10 years old. So I grew up in that whole graffiti culture and, bombing on the streets with my friends and, through the 90s and part of the 2000s. So it's inside of me. I lived it. And in many ways, graffiti is what drove me to film school, because back then you couldn't really, when I was plotting what I was going to do after high school, and, there was no career in graffiti. There were no opportunities, really. It's not like it is now. Like now you can flourish if you're talented. Not even, some guys aren't even talented and they're doing great. There's a lot of opportunities. Back then, not so much. So I was trying to figure out how I could stay in a creative field and work in the arts and still kind of make a living. And that's what drove me to film school. And once I learned how to make films, I was immediately thinking, well, I got to make a film on graffiti. I mean, that has to be it. I mean, I remember watching Amore Perros, Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu's film, and it clicked. Once I saw that movie, I was like, wow, okay, now I know what I want to do. So the inspiration was very much, living that life.
Yeah, the movie is like, there is a lot of like aspects that I like it. Especially because shows the graffiti, the guys that do graffiti, they have a life, they have a heart, they have a family, you know what I mean? And sometimes we have this preconcept about them. So this is something that I really enjoy about the movie. I spoke with Daniel and then we talk about that too. And why did you, I know it's important for you to show this approach, but why did you went to that route to show us this new word, like this word that for me is new, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think because not that many people know this world, and there's not a lot of films or TV shows that cover characters that are graffiti artists, and there's a lot that goes to it. There's there's great things and there's horrible things. You go to jail and you fight and you fall off a building and you die. But you can also meet new people, learn to work as a group. When you form a crew, it's almost like forming a business in a way. You have to recruit a group and have a lot of people work together so you can learn leadership in graffiti. I learned how to corral people, and that helped out when you try to go make a movie. You need to get a lot of people on the same page and going for the same thing. So I wanted to show this world, and that's the goal. Like what you just told me is what I hope for, that people are like, I never thought about this like that, or I never really saw a film from this perspective. And that's really why I wanted to do it, because I thought whether you love the movie or you hate the movie, I hope you can at least walk away and say, wow, I never really thought about it that way. I never really, thought about how it goes for graffiti artists. And it's a fun life. It's a roller coaster. It's, in many ways that I'm deep into filmmaking. I look at my friends who continued on in graffiti, and I'm a little jealous. I'm like, oh man, look at them. Like, I wish I was still doing all that.
Yeah. And what was like your biggest challenge to put this film together? Like, was more directing? Was like pre-production? How was that for you?
I think that the challenges were a little bit of everything, right? I think for sure coordinating the graffiti and the actors, right? Making that look real. So we had a whole stunt crew of just graffiti artists, like very famous, world-renowned graffiti artists who were doubling for the actor. So like Danny has a specific graffiti artist who we picked to be his double. So every time you see Danny doing graffiti, it's this specific guy that we chose, that specific style. So we wanted the character and the graffiti style to mix, to make sure it's their personality. And the same thing for all the characters, for Silk, for Seismic. There was a lot of planning on the art side of it. Cinematography was big. Our cinematographer, Caleb Heyman, he had just won an award for a film at Sundance. He's gone on to shoot Stranger Things and Fear Street. Like, this guy is a genius. And working with him was so great because you could see him working visually with all that we were putting down in front of him. So I think the art and the cinematography and the visual, there was a lot of, I wouldn't say challenges, but certainly it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to put all that together. And then to execute that in production was tough because you can have the greatest plan ever, but when you try to go do it, hopefully it works. And I think for the most part it worked, but the challenges in production were that it rains every day in Miami. At 2:30 p.m. every day, it's pouring. So it's very hard to paint and do graffiti and spray paint while it's raining. So a lot of times we had to stop. We had to wait for the walls to dry. A lot of times the walls would be ruined, so we'd have to paint them over again, wait for the rain to stop. It was, it's like the saying, it's like watching paint dry. Well, we were literally sitting there watching paint dry.
Oh my God.
Watching the time go away, because you only have a certain amount of time that you can do it. I would just be sitting there heartbroken, like, oh my God, we're sitting here watching paint dry.
Yeah, I know. And then that was my next question, like how was filming Miami and the way that cinematographer did with Miami, because I used to live there before living here in LA. And then I know that neighborhood, I know Wynwood, and I know how beautiful it is, the walls and everything. So, but how was that for you, to give life, to Miami on this movie?
It was incredible. I mean, first off, when I was in high school, I had a job in my aunt's warehouse in Wynwood pushing boxes. So I saw that neighborhood go from nothing. It was drugs and gangs, and that was not a place that you wanted to hang out. So just seeing the rise of Wynwood in my lifetime was amazing. To be able to shoot this movie in Wynwood was incredible. We shot during Art Basel, so a lot of the stuff you see on the streets of them walking is all real. During Art Basel, we were just following them, walking around the neighborhood. Everyone in Wynwood was super, they opened their arms and welcomed us, and it was awesome. It was awesome. And I hear a lot of people talk about how Wynwood isn't shown in films much. So I'm happy that our film is able to shed some light on the neighborhood and show other people about this neighborhood.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the cast members, like Daniel, Juan Pablo. What was about Daniel, especially Daniel, that got your attention and made him the Nick Damage Cruz?
Well, first off, we learned that he was a painter in real life, that he actually paints. So that was huge. And I think that, the way we learned of Daniel was through agents. We had the same agency, and his agent immediately read the script and said, oh my God, this is for Danny. So when we learned that he was a painter, we were like, wow, that's incredible. Then that he's Latino and he speaks Spanish, we were like, whoa, those are the two important things for us. We does this guy understand this genre, this world? And is he really Latino? And those two things checked out. And then when I met Danny, I was sold. I was like, whoa, he gets it. He really gets it. And then when we got to Miami, he was there for about 2 weeks hanging out with all the graffiti artists and learning how they talk, how they walk, how they communicate. So day one, I couldn't believe it. He reminded me of all of my friends, of people I know. It was very eerie. I'm like, whoa, he it has totally dove into this character. He is these people right now. So that was really impressive to see, you know, and on down the line. I mean, like Bo Knapp playing Seismic, he dove into that character. I mean, at times I wasn't sure who I was talking to. I was talking to Seismic or I was talking to Bo. Juan Pablo Raba was amazing. Juan Pablo, I mean, he read the script 2 days before we were set to shoot his scenes. We were, you know how it is in this business. You cast someone, you lose them. You know, you think one person's playing this. That's how it was for us. And a very close friend of mine sent the script to Juan Pablo. He read it and said, I'm in. Like, I'll go to Miami and do it. So I was on the phone with Juan Pablo, and we were like working on the character on the phone. He was here in 2 days shooting the scene. I couldn't believe it. Like, he nailed it. So there was a lot from the cast that they really brought that energy, and I think it worked.
Yeah. Oh yes. And Daniel, just so you to know, he had a great time work with you. So JD, this is the time that I have with you. I just want to thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope everybody liked the movie like I did. I think you guys did a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. If you like this video, don't forget to comment, to like, and subscribe to our channel right here.